begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, as we send salutations upon His beloved Habib Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, tasliman kathira, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Thereafter we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings He has bestowed upon us, as blessings which, if we were to start to count these blessings, we will come to the realization that these blessings are countless, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in the Quran that if you were to count these blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you will see that they are endless. My dear respected brothers in Islam, everything that we have is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From the smallest of things that we could not think about our blessings, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept these as blessing for us. From the sweat that drops from our foreheads on a hot day to the growing of the nails, these are all blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet sometimes we may not comprehend and understand the wisdom behind these blessings. But the greatest blessing, my dear respected brothers in Islam, for every single one of us sitting here, for every single one of us sitting here and listening to this khutbah, is the blessing of Islam, ni'matul Islam, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted us the Islam that we have. Being able to recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our creator, that every morning we wake up and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, knowing that He is our creator. Going to sleep knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our creator. And this is why is one of the prophetic traditions that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he advises that every morning or evening, that one of the du'as that we should be reading at least 3 times is رَضِيتُ بِاللَّهِ رَبَّا وَبِالْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا وَبِمُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم نبيًّا. That I am pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as my Lord, as Islam as my religion, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as my prophet. And in return does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all, my dear respected brothers in Islam, for repeating such a dua, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with us on the day of judgment. Allahu Akbar. Now, my dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, as we tread along this journey of ours to the afterlife, every single one of us in some part of our life, whether it be at the beginning or towards the end, regardless who we are, what abilities we have, how much taqwa we have gained, every single one of us here, we have this eagerness to make change. That one day, inshallah, when we meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can show the best version of ourselves. This is the ultimate goal, that we want to make changes so that when we go on the next life, we are the best versions of ourselves. However, my brothers in Islam, there's always a barrier that's stopping us from reaching that goal. There's something that's stopping us that we can't reach this goal. And what is this barrier, my brothers in Islam? That we are concentrating so much on our external selves. We want to change our behavior. We want to change how we are. We want to do complementary actions. But there's something that's stopping us, and that is that we are not focusing as much on our internal selves. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in a hadith narrated by An-Nu'man ibn Bashir, that أَلَا وَإِنَّ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةً, that indeed within the body there is a flesh of meat. إِذَا صَلَحَتْ صَلَحَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. And when that flesh of meat is rectified and purified, the rest of the body is purified. وَإِذَا فَسَدَتْ فَسَدَ الْجَسَدُ كُلُّهُ. And when that flesh of meat is corrupt, then the rest of the body is corrupt. My dear respected brothers in Islam, what is that flesh of meat? Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أَلَا وَهِيَ الْقَلْبِ. That is the heart. And every single one of us, we should be going our way to try and work on our internal selves. Try to purify our hearts, for indeed, if we purify our hearts, the actions automatically will follow. That we will become better as people, as human beings, as Muslims. And my dear respected brothers in Islam, to understand the importance of the soul, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, He takes an oath by the soul. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Shams says, وَنَفْسِ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا. And by the soul and He who proportioned it. And there's a famous principle amongst the Quranic exegesis specialists. They say, إِنَّ اللَّهَ عَظِيمٌ لَا يَقْسِمُ إِلَّا بِالْعَظِيمِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is great. And He does not take an oath by anything except if it's great in of itself. Allahu Akbar. And this soul, my dear respected brothers, is the most important limb in our bodies. And we need to work towards it and make it better so that way it will leave an effect on our outer selves. And in my khutbah today, that inshallah I want to share with you some tips, because the most important thing is we might know, we might understand that there is a problem within us, but we need to find the solution for this problem. So what is the solution for the weakness of our hearts, my dear respected brothers in Islam? I want to share with you all 10 tips bi'idhnillahi ta'ala that will help myself firstly, and you all inshallah, in reaching that goal that we want to reach. The first thing, my brothers, is the importance of tawheed, monotheism. Every single one of us here, alhamdulillah, we testify that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is our Lord, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is the final message. But those that have been deprived from tawheed, deprived from the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they cannot ask for the purification of the heart. They cannot ask for anything else, because you see, this is the foundation. If the foundation is weak, then everything else will be weak. This is why once Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he was traveling with a caravan, and he came across a man who was a worshipper, a monk in his hermitage. And he looked at this man and he started to cry. And the Sahaba radwanullah alayhim, they looked at him and said, "Ma yubkika ya Amir al-Mu'mineen?" What is it that's making you cry, ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? He says that this man, he's going himself, exerting himself, trying to worship whoever he is worshipping. But because he is not worshipping of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all his efforts are going to waste. This is why it's very important, my brothers in Islam, that we understand our basics. The asas, our foundation is tawheed. And upon it we build other things. Number one. Number two, ad-du'a. That we all know the famous hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ad-du'a'u silahul mu'min. That the du'a, it is the weapon of the believer. And in another hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لَيْسَ شَيْء أَكْرَمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ مِنَ الدُّعَى. That there is nothing more honorable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the du'a. But why is it such an honorable action? Why is it such an honorable ibadah, worship in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? It is because when a person goes out the way to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is showing his weakness. He is showing that he has deficiency within himself. And when he turns to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala acknowledges this, that my servant has gone out the way to show his weakness. And when it comes to the bab of purification of the soul, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam most specifically would be making dua for the purification of the soul. We know the famous dua that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would regularly read. Allahumma ati nafsi taqwaha wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. That, oh Allah, make my soul obedient and purify it. You are the best one to purify it. You are its guardian and its Lord. So it's something that we need to engage in, my brothers in Islam, that we need to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purifies our inner self, because then it will leave an effect on our external selves. Number three, reconnecting with the book of Allah Azza wa Jal. My dear respected brothers in Islam, the best of people are the people of the Quran. Ahlullahi hum ahlullahi wa khasatuh. That they are the people of Allah, they are the chosen people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the special people of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when a person looks at the book of Allah Azza wa Jal, he will find that it is the book of purification. Everything that it contains in it, it will purify your hearts. This is why I'm sure you have seen many videos of non-Muslims listening to the Quran, but they are moved by it. Why are they moved by it? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this Quran is a miracle, my brothers in Islam. Reconnect yourself with the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla and you will see the miracles. This is why Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, he says that I have not seen something more beneficial for the mind and the soul than an-nazar fi kitabillah. Than looking at the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Just imagine, just by looking at the book of Allah Azza wa Jalla, this is what Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah is saying, what would happen to the one that is reciting the Quran daily? So this is something that we need to also bear in mind. Number four, taking the right role models. You see, my brothers in Islam, in times we are living in, unfortunately, with all the social media and everything, we have taken wrong people as our role models, musicians, football players, etc. And that has let us go astray. That our actions are based on the actions of these people. That what they are doing, we want to do. The way they dress, we want to dress. And that leaves a bad effect on the heart. So once we change our role model and we take Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of role models, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. That indeed within the prophets, there is, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ, that for you in the Prophet is a role model, is the best of role models, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is what we need to do in order for it to help us purify our hearts. Number five, تَخْلِيَةٌ ثُمَّ التَّحْلِيَةٌ. A very important concept that we have neglected. And that is, firstly, we need to rid ourselves of the bad actions, the bad habits we may have, and then changing that with good habits. The easiest example for you to all understand this concept is, for example, you are feeling thirsty and someone gives you a dirty cup. Huh? You put water in this cup and drink it, or do you wash it and then drink it? You wash it and then drink it. It's common sense, isn't it? Takhliya thumma tahliya is this concept, my brothers in Islam. That our hearts, we need to take out the bad habits that we have in our hearts. And after that, what will happen is we change it with the good habits that we want to pick up. Takhliya thumma tahliya. Good and evil just does not go with, in line with each other. That we need to ensure that we're getting rid of the evil within ourselves and then change it with the good. Number 6, closing all doors that may prevent us from the purification of the soul. Very important concept that has been taken from the Quranic verse, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in the Quran that do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly does not tell us not to follow shaitan. He tells us not to follow the footsteps of shaitan. And why does He tell us to do this, my brothers in Islam? It's because when a person starts to follow the footsteps of shaitan, what will he inevitably do? That he will follow the shaitan. And similarly, my brothers in Islam, anything that will lead to the disease of the heart, then what do? We try to refrain from it as much as we can. If you know that you're going to turn the TV on, you might see something haram and it might lead you to doing something haram, then close off the TV. This is the concept that we need to learn, my brothers in Islam, that we refrain from anything that will lead us to doing the haram. Number 7, remembering death. My brothers in Islam, this life is short. Every single one of us is in a journey, and our life will come to an end. Those that were with us last week, they are not with us this week. And those that are with us this week, they might not be with us next week. We can't guarantee that we can leave this room alive. Death has been written for us. But when we start to think about death more often, what happens? The love of this dunya starts to leave our heart, and our hearts soften. This is why when you hear a lecture on death, what happens? You get this temporary iman booster. But we need to get this iman booster regularly. This is why the Prophet ﷺ, what did he advise you and me? أَكْثِرُوا مِنْ ذِكْرِ هَادِمِ اللَّذَّاتِ. That increase in remembering who? The destroyer of all pleasures. And who is the destroyer of all pleasures? Al-Maut, is death. So this is something that we need to do, that when we increase in remembering death, my brothers in Islam, it will soften our hearts. The love of this dunya will leave our hearts. And then when we do leave this temporary life, we will be content with what we have. Number 8, choosing the right friends. My brothers in Islam, for those of us who are working in the da'wah scene, we know that the young generation are finding it very difficult. And they are starting to go astray. And when we come and sit down with these youth, you come to realize that there is a common issue amongst the youth. And what is that? That they have bad friend circles. How many times have we had brothers approaching us, sisters approaching us? They're on the verge of leaving Islam, and when we ask their parents, what is it? What is it that they do? Then you'll come to realize that they have friend circles that are not good. So we have to change our friend circle. When we change our friend circle, we will see the change in our lives. It's very important. Number 9, refraining from al-ujub, self-amazement and pride. Prophet ﷺ told us in a hadith that لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. That a person who has the atom's weight of pride in his heart, he will not enter Jannah. And pride has got something to do with the heart. When a person has pride in his heart, automatically the heart starts to become darkened, and it becomes so hard that it's impossible for him to purify his heart. If you look back in history, if you look back at those that were destroyed, the likes of Haman, Qarun, the likes of Fir'aun, even Shaitan himself, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kicked him out of Jannah. For what reason? They all had one thing in common, that they had this ujub, that they had this pride in their heart. Whatever position Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you, stay humble and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will elevate your status. Number 10, the last thing, and that is acknowledging the weakness of our hearts. We need to know, my brothers in Islam, in the Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the soul, He has categorized the soul into 3 groups. We have an-nafs al-ammarat bis-su, the soul that has been overtaken with the sins that it has been doing, that it can't control itself, it's doing sin after sin after sin. And the second group we have is an-nafs al-lawwama, and that is the soul that sins but regrets doing that sin. Then it goes back, does a sin, then regrets doing that sin. So it's bayn. It's in the middle of two things. Then we have the pinnacle of faith, which me and you should be trying to achieve. And that is an-nafs al-mutma'innah, the content soul. The soul that is happy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is happy with it. This is what we want to reach, my brothers in Islam. Never forget that the purification of the soul, going back to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that if we purify our inner selves, that will leave an effect on our outer selves. Let this be a reminder firstly for myself and to you all, that do not take the talk that you listen to as merely something that comes in one ear and goes out the other ear. Rather, let it be a talk that will make an effect and change in your lives, in my lives. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings, as we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to purify our hearts from the evils ourselves. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المؤمنين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making us from the fortunate enough to be here on this blessed day of Jummah, the best day of the week, the day that has been described as the Eid of the week. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept all our efforts on this day. There are many of those that wish that they could have the Friday prayer, but unfortunately they are not with us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those that will that excel in worship on this day, and make us from those that when they ask in that hour where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts the dua, that He accepts all our dua. Ameen. And while saying this, my brothers in Islam, we must also remember and not forget the less fortunate, those that could not make it to the Jum'ah prayer, maybe due to some illnesses, maybe due to some disabilities that they may have. In saying this, we know that Islam, my brothers in Islam, is a holistic religion, that it is an all-inclusive religion for those that have abilities and those that have disabilities. And it's not just for those who are here, they are those for home. For those that are not here, we take the masjid to them. We take the opportunities to them. We try to help them as much as we can. And we do not forget in our history how Islam helped those that were less fortunate. Those that could not reach the masjid, that the likes of Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, there is an incident when a man came and he complained to Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, and he said that, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, my son, he suffers from such and such, but he cannot attend the masjid. And what did the Amir al-Mu'mineen do to help him? He gave him a house near the masjid. Allahu Akbar. These are the rights of those that are less fortunate, my brothers in Islam. So do not ever forget the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us as a ummah, that we are a ummah that help every single person regardless of their abilities. In saying this, we know that there will be an announcement given after Jum'ah by the Richards House, the masjid has been working with this company and this organization to help those that are less fortunate. Every year they help up to 300 people, 300 children and families that are less fortunate, providing them with services. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept it from the masjid, and every single one of us who hears about this, do try to support this organization. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings. أقول قولي هذا ثم أعلم أن الله يأمركم بالصلاة والسلام على نبيه فقال في محكم التنزيل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على نبينا محمد وارض اللهم عن خلفائه الراشدين الذين قضوا بالحق وبه كانوا يعدلون أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر الصحابة أجمعين وعنا معهم بجودك وكرمك يا أكرم الأكرمين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداء الدين اللهم إنا نسألك الإخلاص في القول والعمل اللهم انصر المستضعفين من المؤمنين في كل مكان يا رب العالمين اللهم كن لهم وليا ونصيرا ومعينا وظهيرا اللهم عجل لهم بالفرج والنصر يا قوي يا عزيز اللهم وأدر دوائر السوء على عدوك وعدوهم اللهم اجمع كلمة المسلمين على الحق يا رب العالمين عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر الله يعلم ما تصنعون